We're up to chapter 29, verse 14, and we're going through the inauguration ceremony that was done as part of the process of inaugurating the Mishkan. So it says in the verse, in chapter 29, verse 14, Ves Besar Hapar, Eitan, chapter 29, verse 14. It says, Ves Besar Hapar, Vesoro, the meat of the cow and its skin, V'es pirsho, and its waste, tisrov ba'esh, you shall burn in fire, mechutz l'machaneh, outside the camp, chatasu, it is a chatas, it is a sin offering. So what we've done now is we separated, as part of the inauguration service, Hashem has told Moshe to take 30 loaves of bread and a bull and two rams, and then bring it to the entrance to the Ol Moed, and dress Aaron. And first, Aaron and his sons, you dip them in water, bathe them in water in a mikvah, and then dress them in their garments, and then bring the bull and take from the blood of the bull, place it on the altar, and then take the fats and put them on the altar. But now the meat of the bull and the skin and its waste, you should burn in a fire outside the camp. It's called a chatas. It's called a sin offering. Rashi says, this is the only time that there is a sin offering which is placed on the outer altar, which is entirely burnt. This is the only time for that. The only time we have a sin offering which is placed on the outer altar, which is entirely burnt. So this is the only example of that. And then it states in verse 15, and you shall take one ram, you shall take one ram, and Aaron and his children shall place their hands on the heads of the ram. You shall slaughter the ram, and you shall take its blood, and you shall sprinkle it on the altar. So afterwards, Moshe was supposed to take the ram and take its blood, slaughter the ram, and take its blood and sprinkle it on the altar around. So Rashi says, hello, Aviva, hello, Mordechai. Vizarakta, you shall sprinkle it. Rashi says, well, you're taking the blood of the ram and you're sprinkling it with a vessel, bakli, with a utensil. Ochez b'mizrak, that he's supposed to hold a vessel, v'zorek neged karen, and he should toss the blood towards the corner of the altar, kadesh yera elakano kan, so the blood will be visible on both sides of the corner. Ve'in karban ta'un matana, and the sacrifice does not require application with its finger. There's no other carbon that applies that requires application with its finger. Ela chatas b'vad, with the exception of the chatas. So, avol shar zvachim inan tunin keren v'lo etzba. But all the other sacrifices, they're not applied to the horn of the altar, nor with the finger. Shematan dama michatziya mezbeach omata. So all other sacrifices, aside from the sin offering, the Kohen stands below and he pours the blood from a vessel onto the wall, and because it is supposed to go below the midway point. But this time, he tosses it toward the corner, so it appear on both sides. So basically, this is an exception. The Rashi is telling us that the blood of the sin offering is put on the corner, while the other sacrifices is thrown towards the corner with a vessel. Only the sin offering is placed with the finger. And now, Saviv, Kach Mefurash B'Shlitas Kachim. So Talmud in Zvachim tells us as follows: She'ein Saviv El Shtei Matano She'ein Arba. When it says Saviv, when he places it around, it means he places it with two applications, which are four. He takes two applications, which are four, meaning to say, Achas B'Karen Zavazu, one in this corner, Achas B'Karen Shekenegda Ba'alakson, and the other one in the opposite corner, diagonally. Matana, and each application near Ace B'Shneit Sidei Karen Elach Ve'elach, and each application is visible on the two sides of the horn on either side. Nimtza Adam Natun Ba'arba. So by placing it on the horn on diagonally, it's going to be seen on all four directions. Therefore, it's called a round. So that's what he does here with the application of the ram's blood. And the ram you shall cut up into different pieces, and you shall wash out its innards. And you shall place it on its parts and on its head. So you shall cut the ram into its pieces, and you wash its innards, feet, and put them with its pieces and with its head. Rashi says, al nitachav, im nitachav, musaf al shar nitachem. In addition to the other pieces. Viktartet koa ayo amizbecha olahu. So this ram is an olah offering. So basically, after you washed it, you burn the whole ram on the altar. Olahu Hashem, reach nichoach yishel Hashem. It's a pleasant offering to God. So Rashi says, what is this phrase, reach nichoach? Really, this phrase is going to be repeated all the time in the book of Vayikra. But what it means is nachat ruach lefanai. It's the source of contentment before me, shamarti v'naseh ratzoni, that I speak and you do my will. Ishay, it's a fire offering to Hashem. Rashi says this expression of fire. Hiaktarat ivarim shal eish. It's an allusion to the burning of the limbs on the fire. So now we go on. So we are up to the next verse. V'lakachta es ha'ayo hasheni, you shall take the second ram, v'samach Aaron uvanav asidehem al rosh ha'ayo. And Aaron and so there were. Remember, we said there was one bull and two rams. So you shall take the second ram, and Aaron will place his hands, and Aaron and his children will place their hands on the heads of the ram. V'shachat ta'ayo, he shall slaughter the ram. You take the second ram, you take its blood, v'natata al tenuch ozen Aaron, and you put it on the tenuch of the ear of Aaron. What's the tenuch? This is the cartilage of the middle section of the ear. So you take the ear, and there's a middle section inside the ear, which is where you place it. Maybe Rabbi Steindaltz has a thing, but basically the cartilage right there in the ear. And that's where you put the blood on the right ear of Aaron, and on the right ear, the tenuch of Aaron's son's right ear, and on their right thumb, on their right big toe, and then you again sprinkle their blood around the altar. Rashi says the word bohen means the gudal, the thumb. And its blood was applied at the middle joint. So it was applied right here. That's where they put the blood, on the big thumb, on the thumb. And then you take from the blood that's on the altar, and from the anointing oil, and you sprinkle it on Aaron and his clothes. So his clothes were going to get dirty. And you sprinkle it on his garments and on his children and on the children's garments with him. Come on in, boys. Vigadashu ubigadav ubanav uvigdei banavito. Have a seat. And he shall sanctify with his garments, and the children's garments with him shall become holy. So that's how you sanctify the garments, by sprinkling the blood and the oil on them. We're chapter 29, verse 21. You got it? I like your new headgear, Moshe. Thank you. It's very immaculate. Okay. So basically what we were doing is we're going through the Miluim ceremony. Miluim in modern Hebrew means the reserves in the army, but this was the inauguration of Aaron and his sons. Now up to the part where they're taking, after they slaughtered the bull, after Moshe slaughtered the bull and the two rams, and he's brought 30 loaves of bread, which presumably Moshe baked, then you take all of that, and now we just said that you take some oil and blood and sprinkles it on Aaron and on his garments and on his children and on his sons and on their garments, and that's how they're sanctified. Verse 22. Minha ayo hachelev va'alya, and he shall take from the ram the chelev, the fat, and the alya. The alya is the fatty tail of the ram. V'sachelev ha'machaseh ha'kerev, and the fat that covers the kerev, and the yoteret hakaved, and the caudate lobe of the liver, v'shtei haklayot, and the two kidneys that are upon them, v'shok hayamin, and the right thigh, ki el muluim hu, because this is called the ram of Miluim. She tells us, oh, Kobe, what page are we on?
466.
Oh, man. 466. Kobe was amazing this morning. Yeah. Kobe was picking everybody else up. It was a little tight. It was a little tight this morning, but Kobe stepped up. Okay, but now we're up to chapter 29, verse 22. But we never look back. We only look forward. We only look forward. Yeah, right, Kobe? Only look forward. Chapter 2. That's what I say. It's about the present. Wait. Down Northwood, they're not letting me speak. They're shut.
They said no, but if I found a teacher, then yes. So I need to find a teacher to stay with us.
To stay in the room. Yeah, ask the principal to do it.
He can't.
Has to be a teacher.
Well, we should become a Northwood teacher, Jesse.
Why did the Jewish group say no to me speaking?
You know? Couldn't tell you.
They didn't give a reason.
They said no. You know why? Because they're a bunch of conservatives.
No, seriously, why are they saying no? I don't even understand it. I'll write them a note. I'll ask my lawyer to send them a note. I'll say this is bizarre. It doesn't make any sense.
It isn't because she's Jewish. It doesn't make any sense. I don't.
Principal Garrick, if you're watching this, we're going to be talking. We're going to be doing some explaining. Okay. Anyway, so this is the ram of inauguration. It says, yeah, they let the imams come and speak.
Yeah. What are imams again?
The Muslim cleric. Yeah, they let them come and speak. Do they have Christian preachers speak?
Well, I don't know.
Okay, so we're going to have to follow up on this. This is far from over. This is far from over.
It's just
It's just far from over. This is not the beginning, but it's not the middle yet, but it's far from over. Yeah. So what does he say? They're supposed to take the fats and burn it on the altar. What tell Kobe what page you're on. 466. What are the fats? This is the fat of the intestines or the stomach, and the alya. The alya is from the kidneys and below. So they used to call the kidney was also called the atzeh because they used to believe that the kidneys were the source of wisdom. Did you ever hear that? The kidneys were the source of wisdom. Anybody ever hear that? Yeah. Why is that? Because they look like the brain. I don't know why.
In like really ancient times, that your thoughts came from your stomach, because you can kind of feel emotions in your torso more than you can in your head. They didn't know the brain.
Yeah. They thought your wisdom came from your kidneys and your heart, but not from your head. Right. Okay. Okay. And the fatty tail was not stated amongst the parts of the bull because the fat tail is offered only in the case of a lamb or a ram. But the ox and the goat do not require the fatty tail to be offered. Okay. And what else did Moshe take? He also took the right thigh of the ram. Rashi says, this is the only exception where the right thigh is specified among the parts of the olah brought on the altar. This is called, now this is the key verse, it's called the El Miluim. This is called the ram of they translate here Miluim. How do they translate Miluim? This is a beautiful idea. Lashon shlemut, the expression of completeness or perfection. Shushlam bakol, that's completeness. So in modern Hebrew, they call service in the army miluim. Now we have a new explanation for it. It means perfection. Magida kasuv shamiluim shlamim. The verse is telling us that the parts of the Kohanim's inauguration were shlamim. That these rams were that the one ram was the olah, but the second ram was called a shlamim. Why is it called a shlamim? Shalumu mizbeach u'obed avoda u'balim. That there was parts of it were separated for the altar, parts for the one who did the service, in this case Moshe, and parts for the owner, in this case Aaron. So therefore, Rashi says, therefore, I require the breast of this animal to be for the one who serves it as a portion. So Moshe got to eat the breast of the ram, and the rest of it was eaten by Aaron and his sons because they're the owners, as it's going to explain. And now what you do is Moshe took the kikar lechem achas, one loaf of the bread, the chalas lechem shemen achas, and one of the breads that was mixed with oil, and the rakik echad, and one wafer, misala matzot, from the basket of the matzot, asher lefnei Hashem. That was before God. Okay, so now Moshe took a loaf of the bread. Rashi says, min achalot, from amongst the chalos and matzos. The chalos lechem shemen. This is from that which was first boiled and then baked. The rakik, and this is from the wafers. Rashi says he took 1 out of 10 from each type. This is the only type that we have, only exception where we have bread that was accompanying an animal offering that was burnt on the altar. Because when you brought bread with the todah and with the ram of the nazir, they were given to the Kohen with the other parts that were given to the Kohen, the breast and the thigh. But from this, Moshe only got the chazeh, which is the breast of the ram, but not the bread. And what did he do? You had a question, Kobe? V'samta hakol al kapei Aaron. So he took the 3 loaves of bread, and he took the parts of the ram that we've been discussing. And he placed them on, so we placed them on the hands of Aaron. So he is supposed to take them and place it on. It doesn't say yet exactly what. Let's see what Rashi says. And when you do the waving, that includes both the owners and the Kohen. In this case, the owners are Aaron and his sons, and the Kohen here is Moshe. How did he do it? Kohen miniach yado tachas yad ha'ba'al u'meinich. He puts his hands underneath the owners and he waves it. V'zeh Aaron u'banav. And in this case, Aaron and his sons were the Baalim, and Moshe was the Kohen. So Moshe was the Kohen here. Utenufa moach u'mevi, and he was waving it back and forth to the one who controls the 4 winds, i.e., to God. Yeah, they're waving the 3 loaves, the 3 different loaves, and also the parts of the ram and the 3 different loaves, and they were placed in the hands of Aaron, and Moshe put his hands underneath Aaron, and in that context, they waved them in all the directions. You move them like the lulav, except the lulav is waved, we know, in 6 directions, and this is the 4. And what's the reason for the waving? So the Gemara Menachos tells us, Rashi cites the Gemara, it's to tell us that the waving holds back the punishments and the harmful winds, and lifting it up lifts and lowers the parts to the one whom the Shemayim and the earth belong to, and it stops the bad dew. Okay, so that's where we're up to. And then Moshe was supposed to take the breast from the ram of the Miluim, Asher Aaron, that belongs to Aaron. And then Moshe shall wave it, and that'll be. Oh, I skipped a pasuk. I skipped it. Pasuk Chafei. You shall take it from their hands. Viktarta mizbecha. And you shall bring it on the altar. You shall take it from their hands and offer them on the altar before God. Rashi says this refers to the first ram. The first ram was brought. To the one whom it was a good, pleasant thing to do. And Isha will be a fire offering. Eish nitan. Hashem Shmo Shamakom. Verse 26. You shall take the breast from the ram of Miluim, and you shall wave it for Hashem, and it shall be for you for a portion. The Kidash et Chazeh Tenufa, et Shok HaTruma, and you shall consecrate this breast of the waving, and the thigh of the lifting up, the Shok HaTruma, Asher Hunaf, Asher Huram, they're waved and lifted up. Me'el Amulim, Me'asher Aaron, Me'asher Banav. So then Moshe is supposed to take and wave and lift up, wave the thigh, wave the breast, and lift up the thigh. Rashi says what you're doing is Kadshem Ladoros. Moshe was consecrating it for future generations. So to say that for all future generations, the Karban Shlamim, the Kohen would always get the breast and the thigh. You had a question, Eitan? Okay. Avalo Aktara, but not for burning. It was for Aaron and his children to eat. Tenufa means bringing it back and forth. Hurrah means bringing it up and down. Okay. Now we're up to... Yeah, it was just for the Miluim ceremony, but he was consecrating for future generations that whenever there's a Karban Shlamim, this specific type of offering where the owner gets some and the Kohen gets some and the altar gets some, that Aaron and his sons are going to get the breast and the thigh. They're going to go to Aaron and his sons. Okay. And it will be for Aaron and his sons for an eternal law. Me'is b'nei Israel, from the children of Israel. Ki trumahu, because it is a truma. Utruma yiyeh me'et b'nei Israel. So this will be an eternal law. What's the eternal law? Rashi says that the shlamim goes to the owners. That this type of korban goes to the owners, and that the breast and the thigh go to the Kohen. Because it is cheruma, the breast and the thigh were set aside for the Kohen. Uvede HaKodesh Asher Aaron, and the garments, the holy garments are for Aaron. Yulavanav Acharav will be for his sons after him. Umashcha bahem, to be anointed with them. Uvamalei vametz yadam, and they'll fill their hands. That's how they serve. Rashi says to the next Kohen Gadol, he also has to wear these garments. When mashcha means to be raised, Rashi says. Yesh Meshicha Shilashon Tzrara. Sometimes the word Meshicha means authority. So Aaron's sons after him, from now on, whoever is the Kohen Gadol has to dress just like Aaron. Yeah, let me just read this last one. By wearing these garments, he becomes called the Kohen Gadol. Okay, yes. So that's a very good question. How was the Kohen Gadol chosen? It was supposed to be, if the Kohen Gadol's son was worthy, then he took precedence over everybody else. But if he wasn't worthy, they had to choose the one who was most fitting. And there are certain qualities that are listed in the Gemara and Yoma. But it happened to be that many of the ones that before the years before the temple was destroyed, the second temple, were not worthy to be the Kohen Gadol. And so they went through a long period where they took the, where it became a position that didn't always go to the best, most worthy candidate. What? Well, it was used, certain political connections helped people get it. But it was supposed to be the one who was the most worthy.
How would they choose going to go now?
That man right there. Or that man. We have two Kohanim here. Presumably, Sanhedrin will be there, and the Sanhedrin will get involved. But yeah, we'll have Elijah the prophet. I don't know. It's true that we could build the temple today if we wanted to. There's nothing stopping us from rebuilding the temple, except for what? Yeah, I mean, the only thing that's stopping us is the political will, the political desire to do it. But there's nothing stopping us from doing it. But we don't need Elijah the prophet. We don't need the prophet to tell us. I mean, some say that you need the prophet to tell us where the altars are supposed to go. Okay, so fine, there are some sources say that, but technically speaking, you could try to figure out exactly where it is based upon the sources that we have. We don't always have to wait for a prophet before doing anything, but so I don't know. Like, I guess whoever grabs the mic first is going to be it, because there's a bigger problem. It's not just who's the most worthy Kohen Gadol. It's not just who's the most worthy Kohen is going to be the one who's the Kohen Gadol. That's one problem. The other problem is that how do we prove he's really a Kohen? Because there's been a lot of a big gap between the Second Temple period and now, and some of the Kohen, like to have a direct lineage is very hard to prove. Now, some people claim that they can prove it, but it's very difficult to really prove it.
Did you see the research they've done?
Yeah, but that doesn't prove anything. Even though they have research on the chromosome, that doesn't prove that because if technically speaking, if the male Kohen married somebody who wasn't allowed to, then his children will lose their kahuna. So it's possible that he is a direct descendant of Aaron, and still he's not a Kohen. So you can't 100% prove it. You can't 100% prove that somebody is a Kohen. They used to say about the Chafetz Chaim, who was a Kohen, Chafetz Chaim, the great Chafetz Chaim, that when he was very old, they saw him running up and down the steps. He was exercising, and they said to him, "Why are you running up and down the steps?" He said, "Because the Beis Hamikdash is going to be rebuilt tomorrow, and then it's possible that they might ask me to be the Kohen Gadol. If they ask me to be the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur, I have to be in shape." So he was running up and down to be in shape to do the kahuna, to do the service in the temple.
One day from up and down.
No, I know. I guess he was doing it regularly.
He was a cardio guy.
Chafetz Chaim was everything. Chafetz Chaim was. Actually, there's one video, a very, very, very incredible clip that you could see of the Chafetz Chaim. I think it was in like 1922 or 23, going to the Aguda convention. You could see it and just see him for a second, just like a split second, walking, and he looks like a very frail and short Jew. Very modest. The Chafetz Chaim was known for both his incredible brilliance, but also really for his just incredible righteousness. And you see just like the humility, the aura of humility with which he carried himself, his greatness. So, but he didn't look like he was a weightlifter from that video. They're not. What? You seen that video? You seen that video? You've seen the video. Okay, fine. So you've seen it. So now we said we'll just do one more. Oh no, we have to stop. Okay, let's dive in mincha.